Greetings. Today I want to talk about the first successful English colony in North America. Britain's first attempt at founding a colony in North America had failed at Roanoke Island in 1590. It would be almost 20 years before they would mount a second attempt. Before getting started, I would encourage you to subscribe to the Mossy Feet Books YouTube channel for more great content. If you like my videos, please hit the like button. The more likes I get, the more YouTube will show it to other people, allowing me to grow the channel. I also entreat you to visit my website, www.mossyfeetbooks.com. There you will find sample chapters, podcasts, and a slew of content and link to where you can buy my books. While visiting the website, you can subscribe to it and receive email notifications of when I publish a new book or other content like this video and podcast. This episode is based on my book, Colonial American History Stories, 1215 through 1665. By the early 17th century, interest in colonizing the lands of North America was high. Spain and France were hard at work establishing overseas settlements in the New World. England was falling behind in the quest for colonies. To combat this, King James I chartered the Virginia Company of London in an attempt to settle the new lands. The purpose of the Virginia Company, as stated by the king, was to propagate the Christian religion. The charter stated that the settlers to engage in, quote, in propagating Christian religion to such people as yet live in darkness and miserable ignorance of the true knowledge and worship of God, and may in time bring the infidels and savages living in these parts to human civility and to a settled and quiet government, unquote. The charter extended all the rights of an Englishman to the settlers of these lands. It gave the normal protections that a British citizen enjoyed. The king retained ownership of the land. The shareholders and the king would share the profits of any new venture. The charter provided a governing council both in England with a member in it in the new colonies. There were two branches of the company, a Virginia branch and a Plymouth branch. The Virginia branch received the charter to establish colonies in the Chesapeake Bay area. The Plymouth branch obtained the New England area. The company had hoped to profit from their ventures in the New World. To fund them, they needed huge amounts of capital to finance the expeditions. They did this by selling stock in the company to investors. The stock sold for £12 10 shillings. This was equivalent to about 6 months' wages for the average worker in England at the time. After an extensive advertising effort, the company managed to sell stock to about 1,700 people. The company would use this capital to purchase ships, supplies, and recruit workers. Recruiting workers to go to the New World was also recruiting workers to go to the new colonies was also a major effort. The company promised to pay for the recruits' transport, food, clothing, and tools. They had to provide their own armor and weapons. To join, workers had to indenture themselves for 7 years' labor to the company. At the end of the term, they would receive a portion of land in the new colony. On December the 20th, 1606, 3 ships departed England, bound for North America with 144 men and boys. The 3 wooden ships were the Susan Constant, the Godspeed, and the Discovery. The 120-ton Susan Constant also has references that it was really the Sarah Constant. Historians are unsure which is the proper name. At 116 feet long, she was the largest of the 3 ships, and she carried 71 of the 104 colonists. At 50 tons, the Godspeed carried 33 passengers and 13 crewmen. She would have been about 68 feet long. The 20-ton Discovery carried no passengers. Her purpose was to carry some of the cargo and navigate the shallower rivers after the colonists arrived. Replicas of all 3 ships reside at the Jamestown National Historic Site. A passage from England to Virginia took about 144 days, an unusually long voyage. The ship spent 6 weeks lolling in the English Channel as they waited for favorable winds that would blow them south. They arrived at Cape Henry on April the 26th, 1607, and native tribe promptly attacked them. They eventually chose Jamestown Island as a site for their first colony, and that will be the topic of the next episode. This episode is based upon my book, Colonial American History Stories, 1215 through 1664, available on the website www.mossyfeetbooks. The book is the first book in the 6-volume timeline of United States history series. Discover some of the famous and almost forgotten stories of America. The story begins with the signing of the Magna Carta in 1215 and the beginnings of the concept of limited government, and ends for now with the beginning of the American Revolution in 1775. The articles in the book have much more detail as well as articles not included in this podcast series. I hope you enjoyed this podcast and thank you for listening.